Hey everyone, welcome to the Curious Girl Diaries podcast. I'm Layla London, aka The Curious Girl. Now, just to let you know, this podcast is not suitable for work. It's also not suitable for anybody under 18. But the rest of you consenting adults, let's get ready to talk about my sex life, sex in general, and everything in between in explicit, raunchy, fun detail. All right, here we go.
Nikki. She introduced me to the lifestyle. She was something else. Well, that's one of the biggest things that people do not understand about what it is to be a dominant. Dominants do serve, dominants are nurturers.
Can I let out a little secret?
Yeah.
I've already done that twice today.
What, the wine?
Yeah.
You did the wine twice yesterday?
Twice. Today.
Oh, you cheater.
What do you mean?
You should have called me.
All right. Hello, everyone. Guess what? I have a really, really big surprise. Today, I'm going to do my interview with a Dom. I have with me today Sir Ink. And I just want to introduce him. Say hello.
Hello.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much for agreeing to do this. As I've been telling Go ahead.
Oh, no, the pleasure is mine.
Thanks. I've been telling my listeners for the longest time, and they're probably like, please, would you hurry up and do this? Stop teasing us with it. I've been telling them for the longest time how excited I am to talk to you. And I have a lot of questions. I want to say that I don't believe that one interview is going to be enough. I just have to start with that because I'm kind of getting into generic stuff. Okay. But what I'm hoping we can do is, over time and really, throughout this year for the Curious Girl Diaries, is I would love to be able to interview you more often and also get feedback from my listeners and as to what they'd like to know from you. But just as for today, what I'm hoping to accomplish is to kind of give a general overview of BDSM and then also kind of dispel a lot of the myths that are floating around out there. Because as I've gotten into this and learned, started to scratch the surface from my own experiences, what I really believe is that there's a huge misconception about it. So, I'm hoping that today we can kind of address some of those issues, get a little down and dirty, which, as you know, this is not a PG show, so we are free to we're free to say whatever we want. And let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is just tell people kind of how we met. And if you don't mind, I'll kind of, we can go back and forth on this, but I'll lead in with the backstory.
Okay.
My listeners know that I've had somebody that was sort of, I say, for lack of a better term, sort of stalking me, harassing me for quite a while. It took me a while to figure out what the fuck was going on. And I actually filled in the blanks by finally reaching out to you because this person was saying that you were her Dom. And when I reached out to you, you said, no, that's not the case. So maybe we can kind of, fill people in on, what the truth of the matter is.
Excellent. Yes. So it's very funny. You're right. I think a lot of online, when you talked about, is deeper than just than what you thought. This is part of it, right? This is people who are living like these fantasy relationships online, whether the other person is participating in it or not. And people have formed this whole fan but I met because this woman just decides that you and I were somehow together and doing things behind her back. And she's not owned by me. She's not my submissive, but in her mind, she's made herself out to be my submissive and all this. And she just targeted you. I don't even know why she targeted you, but everything happens for a reason because we're doing really big things. Thanks to her.
And so there's the funny part about that is that I kind of say, well, it's it's clear to me, it's kind of the first time that I'm seeing karma in action. This person has has pretty much, harassed me, made fake profiles to track me and follow me, which she still does, and also post slanderous and untrue things about me, as well as reaching out to any guy that she thinks I have a relationship with and trying to entice them and then taunt me with that. I mean, it's fucking crazy. I don't know how to even describe it, but other than to say, which I've said one time before, there was a point where one of the guys I see told me that women were crazier than men when it came to stalking, and I didn't believe him. And I said, oh, no. But I've said it once, I will say it again. He's so true. There is a special brand of crazy that women can bring to the table. Mm-hmm. And it's a fine line. All I can say, ladies, is it's a fine line. I know how passionate I can get, but this is in a totally different realm. And I know I know that you've been on the receiving end of it. I think you told me for a couple of years. So when you a couple of years, yeah. Right. When you told me that, I said, well, all right, I guess I'm not the only one, but the silver lining to the story obviously is then I got to know you and started talking to you. And I have to say, I find you so fascinating. And the things that you're saying really resonate with me. And that's why I'm really looking forward to working with you more to help people better understand this lifestyle, because I do think it's misunderstood. And I think you have a really good handle on it. And I hope that, we provide through these interviews some benefits to people out there. So that's the plan. All right. So with that, yay, I know. So with that said, let's jump into our first set of questions here.
Okay.
All right.
Ready.
Okay. So, define for me what you think a true, dominant master or sir is.
So with different types of doms, and speak on the master part. And I find myself to be a master and a sir. And one of the differences, people have a misconception of what a master is. They think a master is one that has slaves and all those things. And that's just not the case. It can be the case, but that's not the case. Being a master is someone who masters things. You master yourself, you master your craft, you master your life, you master your finances, you master every aspect of your life. And that bleeds into relationships where you don't necessarily go in forcing someone to be a certain kind of way. A master is someone who can figure out the type of submissive they're dealing with and construct a sort of way of life or life and rules and protocols and those kind of things tailored to that specific submissive. There are some dominants who are just one way. They're just one way. A daddy dom is can be just one way. But a master kind of knows how to take different aspects and blend them in to make a kind of more of a harmonious kind of situation. A master more so can deal with any type of submissive. Some doms can't deal with different types of submissives. Like brats are very hard to deal with. Like sirs may not deal with brats very well. A master could, maybe a daddy dom could, but other dominants may not be able to deal with brats. So it's like that.
Okay, I get it. I'm getting it. So it's just it's basically that these are sort of generic terms, but, or dominant submissive is more of a painting it in a broad stroke. And then you kind of get into specific areas of what everybody covers. And the more you understand about each one of these terms, the more you kind of understand a little bit about the dynamic, or even more of a generic kind of subset. Okay, so I know you were introduced to this dominant submissive concept by your first submissive, which I find that very fascinating. Can you give the listeners some details on that?
Nikki. She introduced me to the lifestyle. She was something else. She was a very interesting woman to herself. And we had gone through different things like groups on Facebook. We had gotten to this polyamorous group, and she kind of opened my mind up to that. And then she one day was like, she always had this edge about her. And so she was like, I like certain things. Oh, okay, what's that? And then she would talk about BDSM. And I thought, hey, is this kink, whips and chains? Oh, you like to be tied up? Okay, I can tie you up. But what she really was showing me was how relationship-based it was. And it was really a way of her exercising her hurt, her pain, some things from her past, or really her way of working through it, through different situations, different sessions, different conversation, different, painful times of the year. There was different things that I didn't realize that, this is what people do it for. And so when I got more into it and she introduced me to, a couple of different books and some information, I was just fascinated. And then I could see why she would choose me to, one, introduce me to this, and two, see me as her dominant. And it's because I'm a very, I would say, level-headed person. I think more non-emotionally based. I would say I make very, rational decisions and things like that. And I take care of people. And those are the things that are strong in dominance. And so once I understood that, once I really understood what dominance were, then I understood it for myself. But it's not something that you can just be in and to say, hey, I'm a dominant, do what I say. It's not that easy. And I'm not one to just jump in anything anyway without really trying to understand the more deeper meaning to it all. I don't want to do anything just to do it. So it was something that resonated with me, and it's really changed my life.
Yeah, I got that. I mean, that's been my takeaway. Now, you also said something else to me that I just thought was really interesting as well. And I think it would be great for people to hear is, you've said that a dominant is a nurturer. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yes. So a lot of what we see, we're going to talk part about the misconception is just do everything my way. And it seems like the submissive is the one that does all the serving. However, a dominant serves as well. A dominant must know how to take care of a person. And one of the simplest forms is aftercare, right? You have these sessions and you may use a paddle or you may use a pinwheel or something that, and these sessions can be a little dramatic. And so you as a dominant, having your will done to someone else, them agreeing to it, you have to also provide them a way of coming down. You can't just simply give them a glass of water and tell them, okay, you'll be okay in a minute. You have to console them if they cry through the session or, they're going through some pain or whatever. You have to know how to soothe them, maybe have ointments on hand, blankets, soothing music, tea, water, anything that's specific to that person that makes them feel comfortable, something that can bring them down. That's not a alcoholic beverage or a narcotic.
Right.
Right. Just natural things like maybe some music, changing the lights up, talking, cuddling, holding, massaging, all those things. So those things are things of a nurturer, of a nurturing nature. Those are things that, unfortunately, doesn't come easy for everybody. Not everybody was taught how to really take care of someone else. So it's challenging for some people. And that's one of the biggest things that people do not understand about what it is to be a dominant. Dominants do serve, dominants are nurturers, but it's not talked about a lot. And maybe that's because of the false male ego that's being portrayed through domination, which is really just hurting people. But when you really understand your role, it's a lot of work. It's not just telling someone what to do. It takes a hell of a person to have the courage to have someone that you have to actually try to provide guidance and instruction for and nurture them. It's a responsibility.
Yeah, I get that. And I've seen that. The other day I mentioned on my last podcast that I was having a conversation with somebody for the first time about the whole BDSM lifestyle, and his, just kind of generic response, and it wasn't judgmental at all, but what he said was, I don't know much about that. It just seems that, from what I've seen, that this is somewhat disrespectful to women, and I love women, and I can't be, I can't treat someone poorly. And that really, that struck a chord with me, because I thought, hey, there are a lot of misconceptions out there. And I started to explain that to him. But what do you personally feel are the biggest misconceptions about the whole BDSM lifestyle? I know we've touched on a few, but it's kind of a broad, this is kind of paint it in broad strokes.
One of the biggest misconception is that you actually have to live it the way they portray it in movies. The whole relationship, once you understand your role in the relationship part of it, whether you're dominant or submissive, once you understand what type you are, who you are, your limitations and the limits that you want pushed, once you understand that, you come to the table with a whole new understanding. So you don't go at anything saying, I want to be like Christian Grey. No, I am myself. I'm Sir Inc. And I'm going to live this the way I want to live it. And you meet someone based upon how you are and how they are. You figure out, can y'all work through some things together? Your relationship with one submissive or dominant may be non-physical. Another one might be physical. Some things y'all do, some things that I would do with one submissive, I'm not going to do with the other one. And that's okay. And I'm not going to use a paddle on one, and I know she doesn't like that. And I'm not going to do a tickle fetish on this one when I know that's what she doesn't like. So that's the whole part of being like a master. Like, you have to understand that different people want different things, and you can't force. You can force yourself on someone and tell them that this is what you have to do, because there's a lot of people out there that are like blank canvases. They just come, oh, I want to be a submissive. Okay, do this, do that, do this, do that. But it has nothing to do with, is that good for her? Is that something that she needs? Is that something that she likes? Is that a boundary that she wants to be pushed? These things need to be discussed, and we do not discuss that. We look at pictures and say, I want to be the guy in the suit with a woman looking up to me and, crawling on her knees.
Yeah.
And I got a chain on the neck.
Begging to suck your cock, and like this
begging to suck my cock. Because I need that for my ego.
Right.
My ego. That's people with egos need those kind of things. These are guys that don't really win with women. A lot of guys, dominance, and a lot of people who are not really thinkers, in my opinion. Because if you're a thinker, you don't really need those kind of things. And you don't have to force yourself on someone. You can figure out, okay, that doesn't work for her. Well, let me give her what she really wants. Because in the end, I'm a giver. So I want to make sure that this experience is not only good for myself, but it's good for you first. I want to make sure that I please you first, because the only way that you're going to really give yourself more to me is if I can prove to you that I can reach into those deeper parts and bring them out, push your limits, and and basically hug you after.
Oh my God. Yes. I think I just
right?
I think I'm gonna have to change my panties after that answer. Okay.
That's it.
You just hit the nail on the head. Okay.
Oh.
This is why I love talking to you. Okay. I have to keep my composure here. I heard you say that every woman wants to be protected from herself. How can that be? And can you elaborate on that?
Yes. Well, traditionally, and even today, most women, I would say, seek men out for protection. That's a big part of the relationship is protection. And the very first person she needs protection from is herself. And the reason I say that is because women are very elaborate thinkers. They're very right side brain thinkers, which deals with art and things like that. So women see things in a different way. What they need a man for with protection is just to be a stabilizing force, to be able to help her sort out those thoughts, those emotions, and correlate them with her actions for success. Also, if you have a woman who's not really with you, so to say, in her mind, if she don't really respect you, she'll undermine you with the kids. She'll undermine you with with friends and family. So you really got to have a woman who wants your guidance and your protection, understands that the things that you're saying to her is not in a just do it my way kind of way, but you explain it to her in a way that she understands, and you two can grow together.
Yeah. So I have a kind of an interesting perspective on this myself. I tend to just be a little more, even though I'm completely, independent, have been, I still have kind of in relationships, very traditional mindset. Mm-hmm. And I like the traditional gender roles. But what I've found or realized about myself is because I've had to be, so independent as a woman, and we're in a time and a place where women can do anything they set their mind to, and all that's great. I'm all for that, but there's somewhat a little bit of a price to pay for that, because when you come home and you try to take that hat off and then be a woman in complement to a man, it's hard. There's times where I feel like, and I know that I have undermined, I have done things that undermine good relationships and good men that I've had in my life. And it's just because, you're out there and you're aggressive, and you got that testosterone going out there in the business world. And then you come home and, and then you got to bring that soft energy forward and be aggressive with that soft energy. And there's a huge juxtaposition in that. And I just, understanding it helps you know what the fuck you're doing and how you're fucking things up. But, if you don't, it's kind of, for a while, it can be kind of like, well, how come, why isn't stuff working? And I really believe that, I think that men need to be men and women need to be women. We have to figure out a way to make that happen when we come together as a couple.
So let me say it to you like this, right? So there are times when most men, when they get off of work, they more than likely really don't want to talk about work, especially if they don't like their job. So a man will rather, maybe he'll listen to some music, or he'll have a drink, go to the bar, or smoke a cigarette or cigar. He'll have some kind of way of decompressing, which really doesn't deal with talking about it. Right? Mm-hmm. Because men are very problem solving oriented, right? Yeah. And women like to talk. Yeah. So the thing about a woman is she's going to come home, she's going to talk about all the work and and totally emotionally dump the work day. But the problem with that is not after the conversation is over, women still hold on to the work day, where men completely know how to let go. Yeah. And we have distractions like sports and, and things like that, things that guys like to do that really make no sense to women. But those are the ways that we handle, the pressures of society and work. And so that's important to understand, because men are very hot, fiery creatures, right? And women are more moist, watery creatures.
Yeah.
Well, if you're moist and water holds things. So women just by nature are going to, if they're having bad interactions all day at work for 8 hours, they need time to really let all that out. And you guys don't want the answer to the problem because y'all know every fucking thing already, right? I know everything. So y'all really don't want the answer to the question. Y'all really just want to let all that out.
We want you to listen. We just want you to listen.
Absolutely. Where men.
Well, you want us to shut the fuck up.
Well, a mature man understands what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
But there are times where even that man needs, okay, you've given me enough of that, right?
Yeah.
And right? Because what I understand from experience is sometimes a woman don't know how to shut it off. She'll let work grind her up all night long. And the thing about coming home is when you come home, this is your sanctuary. So all your troubles, let's talk that out for a minute and then let's leave that alone. Yeah. Because I can't let you wear me down over your problems that you really don't want to solve. You just want to talk about them. So that's what frustrates men, because men are very, very problem solving oriented.
Yes.
So to hear somebody just talk about a problem, a recurring problem all the time, daily with no plan of action is frustrating. But as I said, mature men understand that, and they try to nurture a woman in a way that allows her to let that out, and then, bring her back into being in that soft place as a woman. Because the hardest thing for a woman is to be able to turn it off. And that's what I'm saying about protection from herself. Because a woman will self-sacrifice herself, will self-loathe, will self-indulge in that negative kind of thought process, where men will a lot of times will shut it off, or we'll do something to get the energy off. But we have, we do things physical. So the man might come home and change the oil, or he might do this, and it seems like he's taking time away from you, but really he needs that right there to get that energy out. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think so. Kind of just to maybe condense that, I think what it sounds like you're saying is a really good dom just knows how to channel that for a woman. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a 3-part question.
Okay.
And I want to know, how do you pick a submissive?
Okay.
What are you really looking for? And do you have any advice to doms on how they select a submissive?
Are you sure you want to ask me that?
Yeah.
That if I had the ultimate answers to that, I would be rich.
You'd sell it and you'd be rich.
That would be the answer to all single people looking to be in relationships.
Okay.
But I would say, one, you have to know yourself as a dominant, and you would try to find someone who you can connect with. And it's just more than like, I'm a dom, you're a sub, so you're going to be my sub. That it doesn't really happen like that. There's certain types of doms, like a daddy dom may not like to have a slave, because a slave is just, I give everything to you, all decisions, everything that I do, all my movements, what I eat, what I do, blah, blah, blah. All those things are strictly your responsibility. Mm-hmm. Whereas the daddy dom, he likes a baby girl, somebody he can pamper, or somebody he can, that's going to be a little childish, that he can, kind of correct in a certain way. And, daddy dom is different. He deals with different types of submissives. So you have to know who you are first, your style, and then you have to try to find someone who you basically like the way they are and their submission and the things that they bring to the table, and see if you can really together make it to different levels in BDSM.
So let me ask you one follow-up question to that. Just out of curiosity, have you ever had a sub where you just kind of on the surface, on paper, it's like, this just doesn't make sense. But as far as your dominant submissive dynamic, it just worked.
I haven't had that experience too much. For me, I look for someone who's going to be compliant.
Mm-hmm.
I have a more adaptable personality. There's certain things that I won't tolerate, but I look for compliance. If a submissive can listen well and she pays attention to me, then I can pretty much work with a submissive like that. If they meet all the other little things that, like I like the way she looks, I like the way she smells, those things.
Mm-hmm.
If those things match up, then I could probably work with her. But there's a lot of people who come into the lifestyle and they're really passive aggressive, and we call it topping from the bottom when it comes to submissives. They really want to say, "Oh, I'm submissive," but they really try to force their agenda on the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, some some dominants are straight, do this all things my way and nothing else. And then there's more doms that are more negotiable, right? And I can negotiate, but I won't negotiate on being taken advantage of. And so that needs to be understood. And some women have that already built in them. They come to the table like, hey, like I respect the man, and I'm willing to do some things, blah, blah, blah. These are the things I won't do. That's good. But then there's some women who are really just romantics, who really just like a little kinky sex. And then they just say, well, I'm going to do this. I'm a submissive, because they just really want a man. They're not really a submissive. A submissive doesn't need a dominant to be submissive. She's just submissive. And in every way, if she was in a vanilla relationship, there's still submissive traits that she's going to have, just like a dominant man. Even if a dominant man is in a vanilla relationship, he's still going to be a dominant man. But there's certain parts about BDSM that he won't be able to exude or explore. But he's still going to be a very, what I can, I like very, strong men who are strong in their position, who actually care, and who actually plan their life out. Those guys are more the steady ones, and the ones who have more than likely have steady relationships.
All right. So the next thing I want to jump back to, I know we talked about this a little bit earlier here in our talk, is, it's been said that 50 Shades of Grey isn't a true representation of the BDSM community.
Right.
And that it plants unrealistic pictures about the lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Can you share your thoughts on that?
Yes. Like anything that's kind of new and kind of edgy, the movie does touch on some things that happen in the lifestyle, but it's more sensationalized. And when it's sensationalized and it picks up, and it blows up the way it did, you just have people jumping in. So that speaks to the woman that is just lonely and wants a man. And she's like, I like cooking dinner and I like cleaning my house. I'm a submissive, and so people just look at certain things and think, oh, he wants somebody that's going to serve him dinner or serve it to him on a platter. Or, they think that those things are the things that make a submissive woman. And that's just not the case. So you just had a influx of people running in, wanting to get into play and wanting to have these experiences, which is like going from 0 to 100. And, there's so many layers that you need to get to before you even get in a room. And it doesn't happen with your boss all the time. Oh, my boss is flying me to Aspen and, and we're going to be in this cabin and then he's going to introduce me to this and he's going to tie me up. Like, those things don't happen. And I'm sure, right? I'm sure Dom would meet with a submissive several times and foster a relationship with her. And when I mean a relationship, just a connection with her to where he earns her trust, and then they can talk about things like that. But it never goes that quick. And so movies go within, an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Right.
So people aren't patient enough today to say, hey, I could have that. I would like to have that with someone, and it might take me time. So people get in relationships and they like, well, I want that right there. Not necessarily all the Christian grade rich stuff, but just the whole, I want a man to take control of me. I want a man to dominate me. It's that kind of sensationalism that bring out extreme personalities. And then all those extreme personalities get into the lifestyle, and it just makes it look crazy.
You know what? I agree with you. And I don't know if I ever actually told you this, but when I first started, the Curious Girl Diaries and basically kind of exploring the BDSM or having that type of experience was on my bucket list. At that point, I didn't understand that, it's really not a bucket list item. That was just like, okay, I'm going to do this and just check. I'm going to scratch that off and be on my merry little way and then go back to my vanilla life. I absolutely did not get the concept. But what I did get on the front end was, and this is the thing that I want to kind of put out there for anybody that's listening that's new, is what I got was a bunch of what I call like ding dong doms. Or wannabe, just the worst of the worst coming at you. And I'm strong enough that, that was just so off putting. I was like, immediately these guys are coming out of the gate at me, and I'm instantly I'm thinking, well, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? And so that it was off-putting, and I thought maybe I cannot experiment with this or experience this because I can't be the way these guys, are. It's like a full frontal assault, and so you got to put your defenses up. And what obviously I got past that, but what I realized was those guys are just jokesters. They're not doms. These are probably the guys that, just thought, hey, we can just get chicks this way, or we can talk to women this way and tell them to call me, automatically address me as sir. And, when they're, they don't even I don't even know their first name, and they don't know mine, and nor have they asked. And, and so it's interesting how, all of the sensationalization of this lifestyle has brought out, I think, on both sides, not just, definitely I've heard it from, guys that have been in the lifestyle a long time too, that they're all these women are kind of coming forward, like wanting to get into it and not representing it properly, or not really even knowing what it's about.
Right. So it's the same thing, right? Yeah. Like even with BDSM, it's the same thing as far as human interaction is women looking for relationships and men looking for sex. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right? And then you have people that's kind of in the middle, right? That are really wanting connection with someone. And the thing about BDSM is the things that you do, the acts that you get into, the kind of trust that it takes you a little level, it takes you several levels deeper than the average relationship. So the connection and the bond that you form with someone becomes a little bit more etched in your psyche and in your spirit than relationships.
Okay, perfect. This is this is the perfect transition because my next question is about that. Okay. And so let me just throw it in there and then you can run with it because really, we're heading right that way. So it seems to me so through my experience, and obviously I have done some of this myself, but what I've come to realize is, it just seems to me that the sub-dom dynamic can and does go a lot deeper than, most types of relationships. And I was just wondering if you agree or disagree with that. I think I know the answer, but, go ahead.
I absolutely agree. Only because, I was touching on earlier, when you go into a session with someone and they're giving themselves to you in a way that they're totally compromised, as a mentally healthy individual, you don't take advantage of a person in that situation. Now, I've heard very alarming things, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about talking to people about what's healthy, what's safe, sane, and consensual, because people are out here trusting people who are really sadistic. They have a lot of pain, and what they say, hurt people,
Mm-hmm.
and even though some of these scenes and some of these sessions will be a little extreme, if a person's pain threshold is being run over, or if someone's being violated or starting to feel violated, the person who is the initiator needs to back up, and there needs to be a safe word, a safe gesture, all that. Or you just need to be connected to a person in a way where you know they're uncomfortable, and you have to care. And so what's going on now with the whole influx with with all this stuff is just a lot of people are getting hurt, and people are missing that when you come in, it's really a relationship. People don't really want to build relationships. Like, everybody's impatient. Men want to have sex, or they want to have a quick relationship with a girl that look like what they like, and she's submissive. And she just wants to throw herself at a guy who's going to tell her what to do and be happily ever after. But those things don't happen overnight. Those things are built. Trust is earned, in my opinion. You just can't give someone your trust. I think they should earn it. As a dominant, I like to earn a woman's trust that I'm interested in and she's interested in me. I don't want her just to be like, I like you and I trust you. Like, I don't like that. I want a woman to make me feel like, okay, I like you, but let's work on this. It's just the right way to go about it, in my opinion. I was introduced to the life. I thought it was, I got into it before 50 Shades of Grey came out. So all I knew about it was whips and chains and leather, masks, stuff like that. And my first submissive, she really, schooled me early on the relationship part. And then that's what made me really realize the journey of it all is really about yourself. You can call yourself a dominant man, but anyone can be whoever they want online. But who are you when you're in front of the other person? That's the difference, is showing up and being what you said you were.
Yes. And so just kind of going back, I mean, we're kind of agreeing that there is some deep shit that goes on. I mean,
oh no, you can't push a person's limits. You can't experiment with a person's body and that not be etched in a person. That's why you shouldn't really play with someone like that, right? So if you're going to be in a kind of a love relationship, that's much deeper. But there's I've done sessions for submissives that was not sexual at all. They were straight, she wanted to be put on the cross and beat with the paddle, or spank with the cane, or trained, how to crawl, and certain different things, but those things weren't sexual. So you have to, so there's different types of connections in the lifestyle too. It could be purely, I just want to have a session, and you just do a session for someone that has nothing to do with sex. Like, there's no sexual contact. I know it's hard for people to grasp that, no sexual contact, but yes, no sexual contact. Like, it's just really, maybe someone wants to just do suspension play. They want to be, have the rope put on them in a sabari and suspended from a ceiling. Like, they might just want to experience that, but it has nothing to do with them wanting to be, suspended and had the magic wand put in their vagina,
Well, hold on now. That's crazy talk. What woman does not want that put on their clit? I don't know. Can I let out a little secret?
Yeah.
I've already done that twice today.
What, the wand?
Yeah.
You did the wand twice yesterday?
Today.
Oh, you cheater.
What do you mean?
You should have called me. I would have breathed deep into your ear.
No shit.
I would have helped you.
I should have. Oh my gosh. See, I never considered that. Like
Yeah.
I could have a phone a friend. Like, I don't want to be alone during my, hold on.
Right.
I'm thinking this through. I don't want to be alone during my masturbation. Will you listen while I'm doing
Right.
it?
Right.
I love it.
I had a lover once who she would call me while I'm working and just masturbate in my ear. And I'm sitting here, got a guy in a chair. I'm cutting his hair.
No.
And I'm just listening to her come in my ear. Scream my name. And I'm like, okay, when I get home, it's on.
Oh, Jesus.
When I get home, it's on.
That's hot.
Yeah. Oh, it is very hot. It's very hot. And I'm like, I'm cutting around a bunch of guys, right? You put no pressure on me, right?
Ooh.
I might have to go into the bathroom real quick.
Why have I not thought of that? This is a good idea. I'm committing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm adding it to the list.
Add that to the list.
I will.
While he's working, if I'm not on speakerphone, I may have to masturbate in his ear.
Yeah. Well, again, twice today, and I was by myself. Now I feel like I shortchanged.
You feel like you cheated.
I feel like I shortchanged myself. I deserve so much more.
You deserve so much more.
That's funny. Okay. So this is kind of a burning question for me.
Okay.
Because I really want the answer to this, and I'm gonna selfishly frame this around my context. We'll answer it two ways. We're gonna do kind of a general answer, but I also want this for my own selfish reasons, because sometimes I feel like I'm not being pushed hard enough, far enough, and then I get irritated.
Right.
Okay. And however, I'll just leave it at that. Okay. So, because I have a feeling there's a reason for that, right? But I'm just like, push me. I want to be fucking pushed. And I don't want to go, I want to be on the Autobahn. I don't want to drive the speed limit.
Right.
But I will say that driving the speed limit, this person over time, the results have been phenomenal. I'm not going against the results, just that I like the results and I'm impatient. Okay, I'll say that.
Right.
Okay. So
of course.
Now, but what I want to know is, based on what I just said, so now we'll generalize it. How do you know how far you can push a submissive sexually? Because most of those decisions are on your shoulders.
So I'm just going to speak to your situation.
All right, speak to me. Oh, good.
I'm going to speak to you, right? And I don't know the guy that you're dealing with or you dealt with. So you come in like, I want that, right? And you're a boss lady, right? You're a boss lady. You're aggressive during, at work. I know you are.
Yeah.
So you want your way, right? And you're probably just a little bratty, just a little bratty. I know you're a little bratty.
Definitely.
Right? I kind of get that from you sometimes, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So if I know how he went about that. He was like, he could give it to you, and he probably knew what level you're at, right? He probably knew early on, but he like, you know what? Part of it is depriving you of what you want. And
I hate that.
He made you wait because it's part of the seduction. It's part of the whole buildup. If he gave you everything you wanted, you wouldn't be interested in him.
That's true.
He makes you wait.
And I hate it.
See, the guy that just wants to have sex with you, he going, he want to do everything. But he burned out quick. The true artist of it all. he really wants to do it slowly. And he wants his name etched in. He don't want to just be I remember him. You want to be like, it's him. You know? It's a difference.
Yes.
It's a difference.
I know.
It's a difference.
Damn
and because you like to talk, you done told him what you want and you wanted your limits pushed. And he was like, okay, wait on that. Yeah. It's all part of it, right? It's all part of it. See, a lot of guys would be like, I'm going to do it because I don't want to lose her. I don't want to lose her attention. But a more centered guy is going to be like, it's fine. I'm going to make her wait. And even if she leave.
It drives me fucking crazy.
No one else is going to give her what I gave her. So she's got to come back. Or she'll wait. Yep.
Yeah.
That's all part of it. Seduction
so
and
true.
Right? So and what I like about BDSM, it really makes you work on your foreplay skills.
That's why it's the best.
Seduction skills.
Oh, yes. Oh my God.
You spend a lot more time doing sessions and during sessions that have nothing to do with sex. Sex might be 20% of the whole session if you're in that kind of relationship or with a person. A session might be 20% sex, but the other 80% is set up, the atmosphere, how the whole session is going to go. Like you're going to make her wait at the door on her knees. Do she have to have a certain thing on? Is she going to knock on her door? Or do you want her, when you walk in the door, do you want her a certain kind of way? How you going to have things set up? What toys you going to have out to use on her? Tonight, do I feel like using metal or do I feel like using leather? So it's a lot that goes into it that true artists, they just love it. I love it. When I get a session, I'm talking to the submissive and she's like, I'm a little nervous or I'm just anxious. And I'm like, man, I'm sitting here just going through the whole scene in my mind right now. I'm just thinking about how I want it to all go.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the look, the smell, everything. Like, I love it. I put the candles on. What scent do I want? What mood am I trying to set? What colors do I want the light? Am I going to use candles? The candles I use, are they going to be the ones that I'm, that I can pour the wax on her?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Love that. Oh, God. I'm going to have to go for round 3 today. Okay. This is a biggie for me.
Okay.
Because you mentioned to me that you did a rape session with your first submissive.
I did.
What did that do for her? And what did that do for you?
Ooh. So what it did for her was it made her feel so good. And what I did not realize until we actually entered, and she was my friend for years and years and years. And then when we got into the BDS, when she introduced me into BDSM, and then she became my first sub, we started talking about different sessions and doing different things. And she said she wanted to do a rape scene. And I was like, ooh, that's a little heavy. I never thought about that or even thought about doing rape, So it takes me from the fantasy to reality. Like, I'm going to do a rape. I'm a raper, And she reassured me through her own experiences that she told me that she needed to do it to kind of not right the wrongs of her past, but to kind of take control over it. And so we did it, and she felt great. She felt elated. I felt kind of misplaced, kind of like, wow, what did I do? Because she liked to use knives. So, I would drag the knife across her skin and put the knife to her throat. I didn't cut her or anything like that. We weren't into blood shedding, but she liked the knife and she liked cold steel on her. And after the session, she kind of consoled me and was like, listen, I know this takes you out of your realm of the way you were, the way you think, the things that you would do. But it's not about that. You just helped me work through something else. And now you really understand more about BDSM because it's not about you. It's about the submissive and the is not just testing her boundaries, but her testing yours as well. And from that, I grew because now I understood that, okay, it's not just about me taking her and it's like I'm actually raping her. It's about me getting into a character, right? And then doing this, acting this out with her. So this is why masks are good. Maybe getting into character is good because it takes you from being who you are into this character so that you can separate the two things. So you don't look at yourself as like, damn, I would do that.
Yeah.
Personally, like I would.
Sure.
I would have the the energy to do something like that. So but it was great, and that scene, those sessions, and a few other things have just bonded me and her for life. And I haven't spoken to her in years, but I know that we both, think about each other often.
Yeah.
We had to. The things that we experienced was very deep.
Well, maybe you should just say hello.
You want to say hello?
To her. No, you should say hello to her.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
Just hello.
I should. She actually moved to Texas out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we were dealing with each other, she had broken up with her husband, and we were dealing together for a couple of years, and then things went awry with us, and I think really she just wanted to go back to her family, which she did. And then one day she just disappeared. And actually I saw her oldest son, which is he's like 25. And I asked him, how's your mom doing? Tell us hello. He said, she good. I said, where's she at? I said, how y'all doing? He's like, my mom left a year ago. She's living in Texas. Oh. She done moved with some woman that she's in love with. And it's just, I'm like, oh Lord. Right. Listen, it's the things that people have on their mind, the things that people have experienced in life are very different. And I've been privy to hear some stories from her that are scary. Mm-hmm. And so I understand her behavior. So it's not a big deal, but I really wish I had her phone number because I would call her. But some things might be better off left where they are.
Well, all right. We'll leave it at that. But before we move off the subject, I guess just the only thing I want to say, just to everybody listening, is that you and I aren't promoting rape or anything like that. This is a role play. It's consensual, non-consent. Consensual
play. Yeah. Between lovers, absolutely, or consensual play in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're in the lifestyle. If you absolutely know who you're dealing with, then, it's already consensual, it's already agreed upon, shared interest. But if you're going to get into a session with someone and this is what they want, and you're, and you don't know them as well as you would like to, then you need to have those things in writing, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and make sure that you're protected legally. I would advise that for those who want to do not just a rape scene, but any kind of session. Yeah. Any session that you're going to be in with someone that you really don't know well, you probably should have some things down in writing and agreed upon.
Yes.
If nothing else, y'all both need to do like a little video together showing that everything's good, no one's under duress, and that y'all agree to do a session and all the things that y'all going to do in this session.
Yes, I agree. And also just to lift any sort of legal responsibility from you, again, you and I are not attorneys, but if you're going to be doing something like this and you feel that you might want to talk to get just some advice on how to do this the proper way so that, all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Okay. Now, your first podcast spoke a little bit about DOMs needing aftercare too.
Yes.
Can you explain what DOMs really need and what the counterbalance? I'm really kind of curious about the counterbalance to, being so strong for someone else is.
So those things are particular to each dominant. Some dominants might like dinner cooked and on the table. Some dominants might like, their cigar cut and their drink made. There are certain things that a submissive should be in tune with her dominant to know without him having to say, that makes him comfortable, that allows him to be at his very best. Men work on respect, and women work on adoration. Men like to be respected, and if you understand that man and what he perceives as respect, you do those things. That's taking care of him. And a woman wants to be adored. She wants to be the center of attention. She wants to know that she's needed and wanted. And when you understand those things, you come to the table saying that I'm be able to provide that. If a sub lacks consideration for the dominant, then the relationship just turns into all about her, and then a dom will check out. And then you have dom drop, like they have sub drop, which is a relationship ends abruptly, or a relationship ends in a way that you didn't like, and you really wanted to hold on to that person, but you really, it just ended. And there's a feeling of loss. And because you do these sessions and being in this deeper kind of relationship, the separation of it is hard. It's like an addiction.
Oh, yes.
It's like, ooh, I might need rehab from her.
Oh shit, that's my dealer, and I don't want rehab. I'm like, give me what you got.
Look, you better be careful what you ask for.
Ooh.
Come on, curious girl. You be careful what you ask for.
No,
curious.
I'm saying that's what it feels like.
Yes, it does feel like.
That's what it feels like.
And it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
You know what's interesting is that when you said that men want respect and women want adoration, I was just like, I wrote that down because that is so true. Because, one particular person and I, we were having a conversation about respect, and he said, you don't respect me. And my thing, but my thing is like, I just want to be adored. Like, I am the I've said it 1,000 times on my podcast. Like, I'm the fucking star of the show. Like,
right.
I'm the star here. I want, all attention on me. And so, so when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, you need to do like sub-dom counseling.
Yes, I do.
I swear to God.
There's a good book. There's a good book written by a young lady I met. Her name is Ro Cutno. Her book is called Men Lead, Women Follow, Everyone Wins. Yeah. It is a great book. The book, she is a world traveler. She traveled the world. She interviewed thousands of men who are all married, who come from parents that are married, never divorced. And she just talked to them about what it took for who they are as men, and those commonalities, and what it took for them to be in relationships. What are the behaviors of those men that are in those relationships? And she wrote a book about it. My goodness.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to out myself. I've said this once before as well, too. Okay. And you might go, what the hell? I'm a big fan of Dr. Laura. Okay. And she wrote a book, right. A lot of books, but one of them, she is, I think, I know her husband passed away, but I swear to God, I think they must have had a dom-sub relationship because she just nails it on the head. Like, women, you're fucking this up. Your man, let your man be your man. Anyway, she has a book called The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands. And it's the same thing. It's not, and it doesn't, you don't have to have a husband. It could be the proper care and feeding of a dom. Put whatever you want in that space. Last little space. But basically, again, it's all about, hey ladies, get out of your own way. You're fucking it up.
Yeah.
You know, you got to let your man lead. You got to let your man be a man. Otherwise, what are you doing? You know,
Well, people have an issue with saying that you have a role.
mm-hmm.
And the thing about BDSM is people come in saying, I have a role. Other people that are out here like, I don't want a man telling me what to do, or, you know, I don't want a woman that's going to be like this. I mean, people have to find their own way. And what I found is there's a good way of mixing in the old with the new. There are just some things that are staples in relationships and in any relationship. And you find those commonalities like when you read that book, you realize. And then you realize the things that you're like, I need to work on that in order to keep a good relationship.
Yeah.
You know, those are things I need to work on. And I mean, we have been altered by societal changes. But we become to a point in our maturity, like we want to have some fun, but I got to realize, you know, what are the staples that maintain relationships? And then you try to work on those things. And it takes work. It all takes work. But I love BDSM because at least in those relationships, everybody coming and saying, this is who I am. There's no mask involved. This is who I am. This is what I bring to the table. I'm going to be the dominant. You're the submissive. And let's try to put this together. We're going to roll like this.
Yeah, I like it too because it sort of frames the roles. I mean, you know, it's up to the two people involved to really put in the context for each one of those. But at least it frames the roles, and I think that, quite frankly, I think, you know, from my personal opinion, I think those are the proper roles for men and women, even if it's vanilla. You know, you have to. I think that's what makes the balance between men and women work. So,
yes, and I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not easy. It's just not easy. But at least with BDSM, people coming in saying, I have a role and I'm willing to play it. I just had a lot of vanilla relationships all my life that people didn't come to the table with who they were and what they were willing to do. And so I've gravitated. I'm glad I was introduced to this, and I understand more every day why she did. And I'm thankful for Nikki introducing me to this.
Oh, yes. Okay. So let's keep going here. All right. So to me, you know, it seems that on a commercial level, maybe a sensationalized mainstream level, you don't hear a lot about love between a dom and his submissive.
Mm-hmm.
Is there love between a dom and his submissive?
It all depends on how the two set the relationship up. If it's set up just for training purposes or just doing sessions, no, a submissive should not love her dominant. But if they're going to be in a relationship, like just base relationship that they care for one another, they're going to want to be with one another and make a life together, then yes, love should be entered. But if it's not going to be that growing together situation, a submissive should not love her dominant. It's very dangerous.
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with that. All right, now this is the burning question here.
We got one more burning question.
We have just two more questions here, but this oh yeah, this one. Well, this is kind of burning too because I just want to know. I want to know if I'm not crazy. Okay, but purely, you know, just on a sexual level, purely speaking, how much more exciting is the sexual experience on the BDSM side for you versus vanilla sex?
Oh, it's not even night and day, honestly. It's just more expansive. This is more things that your partner is willing to do and willing to explore, where, you know, sometimes, you know, vanilla girls may not like the pinwheel. They don't like a little pain mixed in with a little pleasure. They may not like their face smacked during sex. They may not want to try to get on a cross and, you know, have a paddle on them or get spanked or have a wine used on them. You know, people have all kind of...
they want the lights off.
Yeah, they want the lights out. They want it missionary and doggy style. They don't want to do it outside. What if we're too loud? The kids hear us, all that kind of stuff. BDSM, like I said, it just takes more time to do sessions. You can have a relationship and not, and every time you have sex, it's not going to be this grandiose thing. Sure. But at least, it's expected to do sessions which get elaborate. So even if you're in a 24/7 relationship, once or twice a month, have a session.
Yeah.
Or once a month, have a session. Then all the other time you be kind of regular, maybe a little kinky sex. But then you have a session that makes it, ooh. So the sessions become planned for and more special.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think it's great because I don't know what it is to go to vanilla. I can't do that.
Well, How
about you? How about you?
What's the question?
How was it for you?
It's like, so this is what I said. This is how I've described it. It's the only thing that's ever been able to turn off my brain. Because I'm so focused on being in the moment and nothing else, and I mean nothing else, has ever accomplished that.
Exactly. That's what being restrained does for you.
Just I'm focused on his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's hypersensitive. It's like I have this kind of like, when I try to describe it to my, vanilla friends, I say, imagine like you're just in this dark, dark room. And then you're sitting there and just the only thing is just this one, like really, really bright ray of light coming in. Like, and it's just all that stimulation. Like, and it's all you can focus on. Right. Everything else is dark. It's in the dark. Like, and where for me, where I'm just like, my mind is going, I'm multitasking. It's 1,000,000 miles a minute. I may be typing and doing a text and podcasting. I mean, like I'm constantly moving, thinking, problem solving. And when it could just be the hand on my knee or the sound of his voice. And I'm like, boom, I'm in line.
Right.
And I've never experienced that. So it's that's why I say when I say it's like a drug.
It's like a drug.
You fucking want that. It's when you go, oh my God, I just hit that. I had that. And I want to preface this with saying like I've never done crack, but my exploration of the drug world has been very, very limited. But when it's like having that hit. It's like having what I imagine having a hit of crack is like, where you just go, where your mind just goes and gets
chasing it,
light and easy, and nothing else matters. And that's what it's like. It's really, really interesting. But you're getting those chemicals naturally. It's quite. I mean, to me. I can't even, there's no comparison. Like I sit and I think about like the sex I've had with boyfriends in the past. Mm-hmm. And I just almost want to, it's fine. Now I go, and that's funny.
You're like, I wish I could erase that from my brain.
It's so unsatisfying to even have that memory.
Yes. I wish I could erase that from my brain.
I know. And at the time I was like, oh yeah, this is good, because I'm having an orgasm. Well, now I'm having, 10 during a session, and they're forced on me and I can't even stop. And I'm just, at the end of it, I'm a hot mess. Yeah, I'm a hot mess, but I'm still wanting more. I mean, the craving doesn't go away. It
starts. It's over.
Oh.
Over.
Oh my God. I'm getting all worked up. Okay. I have to calm myself here now.
Get the wine.
Get the wine. Where is it? Damn it. Okay. I will head for that as soon as this is over. Okay. Last question. What's the best advice you can give to people who are just new, don't have a lot of experience, and they want to explore this lifestyle?
Google BDSM relationships, read up, try to join some websites. There's a couple of sites that you can get on, like FetLife and King Space, and they have different information on there. There's a lot of crazy stuff on there, but as far as sexually wise, it's explicit. But if you go in there for the information, you can get information on munches, munches are functions where people get together in public places and meet up and talk about stuff. There's no sex or anything involved. There's no play involved. It's just people might meet at a cafe, or people might meet at a different place in the central part of a city, blah, blah, blah. And you get to meet people who's in a lifestyle that way. And you can go in there and read personal articles that people wrote about their experiences. So I would encourage people to do that. Google BDSM relationships, learn what that is first, learn what safe, sane, and consensual is, and then try to figure out who you are, what your role is in the lifestyle, and then talk to the opposite sex or the opposite spectrum and try to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. That was great advice. Well, first of all, I want to we're going to wrap up our interview. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
So appreciated. And I really love everything you said. And tell people where they can, if anybody wants to reach out to you, where can they reach you?
They can reach me at Sir Inc, and that's INQ.com. They can reach me on Facebook on Sir Inc, and we have a website. It's a kink community called kinkspace.net, and I'm Sir Inc on there as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to this year and our interview exchange that we have coming.
Yes. I will make it. I have a lot of ideas from this one. So
all right.
Get ready to be in the hot seat.
Yes. So I'll tell my listeners. So next, I'm going to be in the hot seat. I'm going to be interviewed. Yes. We'll see how that goes. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. As usual, have a good evening, and you know where you can find me.
Thanks so much for listening. And if you like what you hear, refer me to a friend. And make sure you're following me on social media. Also, go to the website, thecuriousgirldiaries.com, and join my subscribers only list for access to exclusive content. And as usual, questions or comments, you can always email me at curiousgirl@thecuriousgirldiaries.com.